is your baby right here. He's jumping for you. Look at him.
Wow, I can't believe how developed he is. Look at him move.
Yeah, he's been well developed since 8 weeks. He's had all his parts. Look at him. Oh,
How come I can't feel that?
You won't until the 4th month, but he's been moving in there since 8 weeks. He's got a whole lot of room in the womb to move, and with all that fluid, they're able to move around, do somersaults. You know, look at him. Do you believe it? You're going to have your hands full, girl. Look at that.
The birth of a human life occurs at the moment of conception, when the mother's egg or ovum is fertilized by one of the father's sperm. During this act of conception, the two cells become a single living cell, a unique individual who never existed before in history and will never be duplicated again. Its heart begins to beat on about day 18.
This is an image of just 4 weeks. Can you see the heart beating? Listen to the Doppler of that heart.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Love Them Both. Our show is dealing with the problems that we're having in society and connecting them back with their cause and with their solution. Because we individually and as a nation have abandoned God, have abandoned His commandments in this liberalism, what I call moral libertinism, where people say, well, it's all right if you want to be, I might want to be moral, but other people have to make their choice. We don't need laws against prostitution. We don't need laws against abortion. That's up to the individual. Well, because we have been doing this moral libertinism and not having God's law uniformly applied across society, our society is increasingly reaping the fruits of youth violence, from fathers not being in the home, from parents not being managed, gang violence, domestic violence against women because boys are not being raised by fathers and taught how to protect women and children. We have domestic violence. We have violence against women, which we're going to talk about today, in the sex industry as they're trafficked into white slavery there. And now we increasingly see in our society manifestations of Islamic terrorism. Again, this violates the sacredness of human life, of God that said, you shall not murder. The divine authority of the Bible is proven by its many scores of fulfilled prophecies down through the centuries of the detailed futures of nations, hundreds of years in advance. In the book of Daniel, in the Old Testament, the 4 successive world-ruling empires that would roll over Jerusalem were foretold in advance. The Babylonian Chaldean Empire, then was foretold the Medes and the Persian Empire, then the Greek Empire, which we know in history, and finally the 4th Empire is described in Daniel, and it was the Roman Empire, which was foretold to continue down to through revivals of the Holy Roman Empire down to our present day. So the book of Daniel essentially tells in considerable detail the outline of world history in advance over the Holy Land, and people who do themselves a disservice by not knowing this. We also have in 2,400 years ago in the book of Zechariah was foretold the time when the Jews would return to the Holy Land, and Judah, the tribe of Judah, or the Jews, or the Jewish state, would be resettled around Jerusalem, and it would trigger a world crisis that is prophesied to lead to the second coming of Jesus Christ. So you be the judge. The Jewish state the Jews began to return after the Balfour Declaration took over the Holy Land, were invited to return to Jerusalem starting in 1917, to the only land that didn't have any oil on it, you might add. And the Jewish state was formed in 1948. So with this authority, God gave us the 10 Commandments as a guide to true freedom. They've gotten a bad rep. These are not to oppress us. These are to enable us to have true freedom. The kind of freedom that enables a person to be high on life instead of high on physically based addictions, such as pornography, such as other sexual addictions, such as drugs and the like. The Ten Commandments give you the freedom, will guide us to the freedom of developing the kind of character and the freedom that comes from self-control. And thirdly, the Ten Commandments also serve as a schoolmaster, which will lead us to the reason why God created mankind, and that is to have enter into a relationship with Him as sons and daughters through Jesus Christ. So we do ourselves and our fellow man a great disservice in not verifying the Bible. Most men, unfortunately, most of mankind, not all, but most of mankind has chosen the path of self-centeredness. Rather than seriously entertaining the question, what is God's will? Why did God put us on the earth? What does He want of us? What does He have to offer us? Most men have followed the passing pleasures, an easy path, the easy way out, what seems the easy way out of enjoying the passing pleasures of seeking self-gratification instead of knowing what God's purpose is for us. Well, keep a pen and paper handy today. We're going to have several helpline telephone numbers at the bottom of the screen during the show. And if you're pregnant and scared, keep a pen handy. And you'll be able to call our pregnancy helpline at the bottom of the screen. And anywhere in the nation, you can be put in touch with free qualified counselors to deal with your unplanned pregnancy. Also, if you have pain of it, likewise, if you have suffering the pain of a past abortion and you want to talk counseling about that, or if you want to find out more information about adoption, the caring option, call our pregnancy helpline for free qualified help. Also, we will have a Health and Human Services hotline at the bottom of the screen. This deals with slavery. There's a modern slavery going on. One form of it is sexual slavery to satisfy the sex industry that we're creating, that men are creating by spending money in this sexual revolution culture. But the money that men spend on sexual entertainment, strip clubs, pick pornography, looking at adult magazines to look at the pictures on prostitution. This is creating they are sustaining, and this is creating a demand for women and children to be kidnapped and entrapped into white slavery to provide these pictures for you, to provide these strip dances for you, and to provide prostitution. We're going to be talking about that today. But if you are enslaved, and you can, in the sound of my voice, or if you know someone and you have some evidence, and most people in the neighborhood usually know something, suspect something abnormal, you can obtain help by the Health and Human Services confidential trafficking hotline. And there's an easy way to remember this number. It centers around, remember the numbers, double 37. That is 3737. That is the heart of this telephone number, to make it easy to remember. And then just add to that the toll-free numbers 888 at the beginning and 888 at the end. So the total number is, you always have to dial a 1 for toll-free. So it's 1-888-3737 in the middle, followed by 888. Memorize that number, and you may be able to tell it to people who are enslaved.